Hey everyone, NextGenNel here. In today's video, I'm going to be bringing you a detailed guide on how you can acquire the brand new exotic scout rifle, DeadMan'sTale, that just released in Destiny 2. Great thing about this is the fact that it's the second ever exotic weapon in Destiny's history to be able to acquire random rolls. So stick with me, this is going to be a little bit of a longer guide than I'm used to making, and I'm going to be telling you exactly how you can do everything. So getting right into this, as you can see, I launched the Nightfall playlist when I'm playing, and the Nightfall this week is the Arms Dealer. And when you're playing the Arms Dealer strike, you're not going to want to take the normal pathway. Instead of going off to the left here, if you go straight instead, you're going to notice that this doorway that's normally closed is going to have a buttload of turrets in it. Go clear out all the turrets on the other side. There's going to be more turrets with a boss. Just clear out the boss. As soon as you clear out the boss and the turrets and stuff like that, there's going to be an objective marker over on the landing zone to the right of where I'm currently looking, where this boss is, over a little bit further in the background, that you guys are going to find. Basically, it's going to be a distress signal that you're going to be able to pick up. Once you have that distress signal, you're going to be able to take that to Zavala in the tower.
Distress signals are far too common these days. Our recovery crews can hardly keep up with them. This one, however, I want you to look into personally. Rahul brought it to my attention. He tells me the transmission has been exposed to darkness. Our enemy worms its way into everything it touches, even muddying our signals. What's more is the port of origin, near the reef, from a Guardian claiming to be aboard a ship belonging to the dethroned Emperor Callus. Kaitor will no doubt respond to a signal from one of her father's ships. They have a complicated relationship. If there's a Guardian on board, exposed to darkness, I want to know why. Extract them safely, so we may have a word with them.
Okay, so now that you've gone to the tower and spoken with Zavala about the distress beacon, you're going to just want to accept the exotic quest, and then once you accept the exotic quest, it's going to be on the Tangled Shore. Open up the Tangled Shore map, and it's going to be in the top left-hand side. It's pretty obvious where it is. And then, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this mission does have a little bit of parkour, and it does have some mechanics that are kind of unique to it. It's nothing that's overly complicated. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up before you get into it, that for people who don't really get into that kind of stuff into Destiny, it could be a little bit time consuming, but just take your time with it and you'll get through it. I promise that it's nothing too complicated.
There's a distortion in the feed, no frequencies. Like ripples meeting in conversation. Executing trace. Stand by. I've sourced a distortion. There's an open patch into the ship's computer. Perhaps courtesy of our lost friend.
So right here, there are two different things that I need to tell you guys about. There are the levers that you need to activate to open up different doors throughout this mission, and then on top of that, once we get to it, on the left-hand side over here, through this door, you're going to see there are these darkness spore pods. Essentially, you're going to shoot them when you're near them, and it's going to give you Egregore Link. And then, you couldn't see it right there, but through that doorway, if you don't have Egregore Link, normally you won't be able to get through it. There's going to be like a darkness barrier that will prevent you from being able to access it. So if you don't have Egregore Link, then you can't get through it. That right there is just to introduce you to the mechanic.
Glycon navigation system marks their destination as an anomaly, left in the wake of Mars's disappearance. Guardian, you're not the only life sign aboard. I see at least one other. It may be our missing friend. It may not.
Guardian down.
So before you guys heard me talking about the darkness barrier, those two barriers, the ones on the right and left there on my screen, those were the darkness barriers that I was referring to, just to give you guys a heads up. So if you ever see those and you don't have the egregore link, then that means that you can't pass through it, and if you touch them, it will promptly kill you.
Its connection to the darkness galvanized. Callus always did embody a clever sort of madness.
Guardian down.
So here's your introduction to one other mechanic within this. There are power cells that you need to shoot. You'll notice that when we shoot the power to that door, it's going to open. So you're going to notice that there's a combination of sometimes you'll need to pull levers to open doors that will allow you to see the power cells, and then you'll have to shoot the power cells that will then disable barriers. It sometimes gets a little convoluted, but I promise it's not too overwhelming by any means, and as long as you follow along with the guide, it's not going to be a problem for you at all.
Of Callus's scribe, Armsot. Translation as follows. Today, Callus graced the Glycon with his presence and gazed upon the anomaly. His counselors prepare the exhibition chamber with gold from the Castellum. They are confident the crown is ready. The end will lay eyes upon him and weep at his magnificence.
So I probably thought this was one of the cooler parts of the mission. When you drop down into this pit, you're going to notice that there's a lever that you can activate on one side of it. When you activate that lever, it's actually going to initiate the next part. So basically what you're going to have happen is the floor is going to split open and reveal a grid underneath it, and the walls are going to start closing in on you. You have a pretty decent amount of time. There's also going to be screeds that spawn. Basically, what you're going to see in the background gameplay is me shooting open one of those grids that has a power cell within it, and you need to do that to 3 different power cells. Once you do that to 3 different power cells, there's going to be an escape hatch that opens up, and the walls will stop closing in.
Movement. In the dark. They relent. We must not. Forward. Guardian, I've pieced together another of Armsat's records. It reads, Tragedy of Silence. He tore the wilting failures apart himself. The connection is strong, but the darkness does not speak through them. An ocean without wind. Even the Lightbearer could not coax it to awake. Hangar systems are intact. Why didn't they try to run?
Shall we be friends?
Omsad kept notes on experiments as well. It seems that Scorn exposed to the anomaly all suffered contiguous neuron death. It consumed their minds. All but one who spoke with many dead voices. This survivor would become the centerpiece of their studies.
Guardian down. Guardian down. Guardian down.
You're my favorite. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
Okay, so now we're finally on the boss portion of this. Getting straight into the mechanics of this, the fight takes place in a boiler room, and there's a top portion and a bottom portion of the boiler room. The bottom portion of the boiler room is accessible through 3 areas, one of them directly behind me, and the other 2 are directly behind the 2 terminals that we're going to be able to interact with, that I'm going to explain in just a second. So, essentially for this first part of the boss fight, you basically need to knock him down 10 or 15% of his health until it hits an immunity phase, and then we'll teleport downstairs to the incinerator portion of the boiler room. After that, you're going to have to clear 2 waves of ads. Once you have those 2 waves of ads cleared, you're going to have 3 different coolant terminals that you're going to have to interact with. You're going to notice that there's a blue terminal to my left in the gameplay currently. There's another one directly on the opposite side of the room from where that first one I just pointed out was. And there's a third one that's going to be located behind the green door that you're going to be seeing in just a moment as well. The only difference is the 2 terminals that are outside where we're fighting these enemies currently, they're safe and like you won't have to worry about anything other than enemies hurting you. The third terminal on the inside of this room, if you step on the inside and you're not fast enough, you'll die. You're going to notice right here when I go to step inside of it, you see how the room was red? If it's red like that, then that means that you're going to get incinerated when you go inside of it. So essentially, you need to kill that enemy that's in there, and then run in and deactivate or activate the coolant terminal as fast as possible, and then as soon as you activate it, it will shut off and you'll be all set and ready to go. And as you'll notice, once we take out all three or activate all three coolant terminals, it's actually going to allow us to be able to drop downstairs where the boss is hiding and be able to enter a damage phase. And you'll just have to repeat this as many times as necessary to be able to beat him. And that's essentially all that there is to this boss fight.
Guardian down.
Guardian, this anomaly left in masked wake. I've seen it and others like it. Too many scorn for an active Guardian. In the face of each world the darkness stole. At the edge of our heliopause. Callus meant to commune with the darkness. Faint traces of light. That thing was a Guardian. We're too late. Far too late. Take the rifle. It was offered, was it not? Better in your hands than left for another. I'll speak to Savala about authorizing exploratory outings. If we can recover our lost friend's ghost, we may learn more of how he died. Return to the city. We must assess our findings.
Alright, well at this point you can give yourself a pat on the back because you've officially completed this exotic quest and all that it has to offer. You've beaten the boss, you've gotten through all the puzzles and everything like that. Congratulations. All you need to do now is head to the courtyard and talk to Zavala to acquire your brand new exotic scout rifle, DeadMan'sTale. So, for those of you legends who actually stuck around, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up who want to actually acquire random rolls of this weapon. Once you complete that mission for the first time, you can actually go back one time per character per week to get a random roll. So if you're trying to get a god roll version of the DeadMan'sTale like you were with the Hawkmoon, you have 3 characters, then you have 3 chances per week. I hope this guide helped. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!